While Washington and Moscow smiled and shook hands, a billion-dollar secret operation was underway, trying to steal a nuclear-armed Soviet submarine from 3 miles under the Pacific Ocean. It was March 1968. The Soviet submarine K-129, a Gulf II-class diesel-electric ballistic missile submarine, was on a routine patrol in the vast, unforgiving North Pacific. 98 men, each with families back home, were deep beneath the waves, their lives a routine of watch shifts, cramped quarters, and the hum of machinery. For the sailors aboard K-129, this was just another deployment, another stretch of silent service. They carried the weight of their nation's nuclear deterrent, a silent threat designed to keep the world balanced on the knife edge of the Cold War. But on this particular patrol, something went catastrophically wrong. The K-129 vanished. It simply disappeared from Soviet tracking. Moscow launched a frantic, desperate search. Soviet naval vessels scoured thousands of square miles of ocean, but found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slick, no distress signals. The submarine and its entire crew were gone, swallowed by the crushing depths of the Pacific. For the families of the K-129 crew, it was an agonizing silence that stretched into weeks, then months. They knew only that their loved ones were lost at sea, their fates shrouded in the impenetrable secrecy of the Soviet state. The Soviet government would not officially acknowledge the loss for years, and when it finally did, the 98 men aboard were given no individual recognition, swallowed by the same silence that swallowed the boat. But thousands of miles away, in the United States, a different kind of search was underway. American intelligence agencies, constantly monitoring Soviet movements, had also noticed K-129's disappearance. They began their own clandestine hunt, using sophisticated hydrophones designed to listen for Soviet submarines. What they found was not a live submarine, but a single, faint acoustic signature, the sound of an implosion. It was a telltale sign of a vessel being crushed by immense pressure. Using this data and complex mathematical calculations, the U.S. Navy pinpointed a location. The wreck of K-129 lay on the ocean floor, northwest of Hawaii. Its depth was staggering, roughly 16,500 feet, over 3 miles down. This was deeper than any salvage operation had ever attempted. It was a monumental discovery and a massive intelligence opportunity. The sub was believed to carry nuclear missiles and highly sensitive Soviet cryptographic and naval technology. The thought of recovering even a part of it seemed impossible. The technology simply didn't exist. But the CIA saw a chance to gain unprecedented insight into Soviet nuclear capabilities. They began to hatch a plan so audacious, so complex it bordered on science fiction. But the most disturbing detail would not surface for another 40 years. The decision was made. The United States would attempt to recover the K-129. The operation was codenamed Project Azorian, and it would become one of the most ambitious and technically complex covert operations of the entire Cold War. The challenge was immense. How do you secretly lift a massive multi-ton submarine from 3 miles below the surface without alerting the Soviets during a period of thawing relations known as détente? The answer was a brilliant, if insane, deception. Imagine you are President Nixon, shaking hands with Soviet Premier Brezhnev, signing arms control treaties like SALT I in 1972, projecting an image of peace and cooperation. All the while, beneath the surface of this diplomatic thaw, the CIA was orchestrating a heist that could plunge the world back into an icy confrontation. The CIA needed a cover story, a truly believable front that would explain the construction of an enormous, unprecedented deep-sea vessel. They found their perfect accomplice in one of the most eccentric and reclusive billionaires in American history, Howard Hughes. Hughes was known for his grand, often bizarre engineering projects. He was the ideal public face for a new venture, deep-sea manganese nodule mining. The story went that Hughes was building a revolutionary ship to scoop up valuable minerals from the ocean floor. This was the perfect cover for Project Azorian. The ship itself was a marvel of engineering, the Hughes Glomar Explorer. It was designed with a massive internal moon pool, a huge open bay in the center of the ship. This allowed a gigantic lifting mechanism, a massive claw-like device, to be lowered and raised, entirely concealed within the ship's hull. No prying Soviet satellites or surveillance ships would see the actual recovery operation. Construction began in 1971. The cost was astronomical, reportedly about $350 million in 1970s dollars, well over $1 billion in today's money. It was an unprecedented gamble, a massive intelligence investment on a scale rarely seen. But here's the question that Cold War historians still argue over. Was any of it worth it? Not in dollars, in human cost. Because the men being treated as an intelligence windfall were someone's fathers, someone's sons, and the government that sent them to die had already decided they didn't exist. The Glomar explorer reached the target site in the summer of 1974. For weeks, the crew, civilian contractors and CIA officers working side by side, ran the most elaborate undersea salvage operation in history. A massive capture vehicle, nicknamed Clementine, was lowered on a pipe string toward the ocean floor. 3 miles of steel pipe, section by section, into total darkness. Soviet naval vessels shadowed them. Twice, Soviet ships came close enough that CIA personnel aboard had to maintain the mining cover in real time, narrating a fiction to anyone watching. The Soviets apparently believed it. Or some analysts have since suggested they suspected but couldn't prove anything and chose not to escalate during détente. Then, at approximately 16,500 feet below the surface, Clementine made contact with the wreck of K-129. The lift began. Slowly, agonizingly, the claw-like device began hauling the submarine upward. According to declassified accounts, the capture vehicle failed. The hull of K-129, weakened by years on the ocean floor, broke apart during the ascent. Most of the submarine fell back into the abyss. What was actually recovered remains, even today, a matter of official ambiguity. The CIA has acknowledged recovering a portion of the forward section. Reportedly, this included the remains of 6 Soviet sailors. In a moment that defies easy categorization, covert operation or act of conscience, the CIA held a burial at sea for those men with full naval honors, filmed on 16mm. The Soviet national anthem was played. Decades later, that footage was quietly given to the Russian government. What else was recovered? Whether any nuclear material, cryptographic equipment, or code books were brought to the surface has never been officially confirmed. The CIA's standard response to FOIA requests about Project Azorian became the template for all government stonewalling that followed. We can neither confirm nor deny. That phrase, born from this operation, is now known among journalists and lawyers as the Glomar response. In 1975, investigative reporter Seymour Hersh broke the story in the New York Times. The cover was blown. Project Azorian became public knowledge. And yet the full truth, what exactly was retrieved from those depths, what intelligence advantage, if any, the United States gained, remains classified to this day. The families of K-129's 98 men never received official notification from the Soviet government of how their loved ones died. Many learned the basic facts only after the Cold War ended, from American declassified documents, not Soviet ones. Russia still has not fully acknowledged the loss. Project Azorian cost over $1 billion in today's money. It required years of engineering, an elaborate global deception, and the cooperation of a reclusive billionaire. It may have recovered fragments of the submarine, or it may have recovered something far more valuable that we will never be told about. What we know for certain is this: 98 men went to sea and never came home. Their government buried them in silence. And the country that went to extraordinary lengths to raise their grave did so not to honor them, but to rifle through it. Here's the question I want you to sit with. Russia still classifies the internal investigation into why K-129 sank. The CIA still classifies what it recovered. Both governments have had decades to come clean, and both have chosen not to. So who are the secrets actually protecting at this point? The dead don't need cover stories. Leave your answer below. And if this kind of buried history is what you're here for, you know what to do.